he observed coal and sand thrown up from fissures in the earth, that the waters raised in a swamp near the Cherokee village so as to drown a Mr. Karen, who was traveling with his brother. The latter saved himself on a log. In other places, the water fell, and in one instant it rose in a swamp near the St. Francis 25 or 30 feet. Strawberry, a branch of Black River, an eminence about 1½ acres, sunk down and formed a pond. St. Louis, February 22nd, 1812. The ringing signal purred in Nick Rupert's ear. He felt adrenaline shimmer through his body, kick his heart into a higher gear. He felt like a teenager calling a girl for the first time. It was Manon who answered. His nerves gave a little leap at the sound of her voice. Stupid, he thought. The divorce was 2 years ago, but he couldn't help it. She still did that to him. Hey, he said. It's me. Hey yourself, she said. There was always that sly smile in her contralto voice, and he could tell from her intonation, the warmth in her tone, exactly the expression on her face, the little crinkles at the corners of her eyes, the broad smile that exposed her white teeth, and a little bit of pink upper gum. With the gum exposed like that, it should not have been an attractive smile, but somehow it was. You finished with the move? Manon asked. Nick looked around the room, with its neatly stacked boxes, under the eye of Nick's father, who gazed in steely splendor from his portrait on the wall, and for whose spirit no stack of boxes would ever be neat enough. Oh, yeah, he said. I moved in. I just don't have a place for everything yet. Don't have a place for myself yet, he thought. That's the trouble. Is it a nice apartment? Nick looked out the window, at the crowded sidewalk, the people hanging out on the streets. The windows were closed, and the air-conditioning unit in the window turned up high, so that Manon couldn't hear the boom box rattling away from the front porch. Well, he said, it's urban, you know, but it isn't squalid, and my building is nice. And would be nicer. Once he finished wallpapering Arlette's room, he could move her furniture in there, the mattress and frame that were now occupying most of the living room. It was Viandi who found it, right? Yeah. I can just imagine. Sudden resentment sizzled along Nick's nerves. Manon always knew how to get to him. I can just imagine. His friends weren't good enough. His apartment wasn't good enough. His job wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough. And it wasn't like she even meant to put him down. Not really. Her damn spooky family had been royalty so long in their little part of Arkansas that it was natural for her to judge other people, judge them without even thinking about it. There wasn't any malice in it. Not really. Can I talk to Arlette? He asked. She's in her room. I'll get her. Over the phone, he heard Manon's heels clacking on the polished cypress floor of their old house. Nick paced up and down next to the dinette set, working off his aggravation. Was it his fault he'd been laid off at McDonald? Or that a weapons systems engineer was a useless occupation in the aftermath of the Cold War? He looked at the portrait of his father. Brigadier General John C. Rupert, U.S. Army, winner of the Distinguished Service Cross for service in Vietnam and the Soldier's Medal for service out of it. Author of Sun Tzu and the Military Mind, 1985, and one of the first dozen or so black men to rise in the Army to the rank of general officer, clearly destined for higher rank until forced to resign by the multiple sclerosis that finally killed him 4 years later in the VA hospital here in St. Louis. You didn't tell me, Nick silently told the portrait, that I was going to be made obsolete, that I was going to be as much a dinosaur as you are. Arlette's young voice brightened his thoughts. Allô, papa? Je dis nouvelle merveilleuse. Une situation va devenue libre. Nick tried to find his way through this torrent of half-understood words. His last real exposure to French had been years ago, when his father was stationed at NATO headquarters in Brussels. Good news, he said. Bien? Je vais à l'école de théâtre tout. Je vais passer l'été à Toulouse. Nick's heart sank as he deciphered Arlette's phrases. He glanced into the room he was preparing for her, at the stack of wallpaper and the gilt-edged mirror. His hand automatically touched the pocket where he carried the gift he bought her today, and which he really couldn't afford, a gold necklace in the shape of a lily, sprinkled with diamonds and rubies and matching earrings. A real grown-up gift. He had imagined her eyes lighting up as she opened the gift-wrapped box. He had imagined the way she'd gasp and delight.